Welcome back to the sanctuary of hidden truths. Welcome back to anything you want. You are here because you know that behind the curated smiles and the scripted dialogues, there are real hearts beating in syncopated rhythms of hope and hesitation. You have joined us because you refuse to accept the simple headlines. You crave the complex, human story that lies beneath the surface of celebrity. Today, we are walking through the echoes of a love story that felt destined, only to fracture at the very moment the world expected a happily ever after. We are exploring the silence between Barış Baktaş and Yagmur Yüksel. Before we step into this delicate narrative, please, solidify your place in our community. Press the subscribe button, ignite the like button to help us conquer the algorithm, and if you truly wish to support deep, empathetic storytelling, our join button is your gateway to the inner circle. Your support allows us to paint these portraits with the grace they deserve. Today, we unravel the mystery of the ring that never came. Let us begin. The rumor swept across timelines like a wildfire in a dry forest, sudden, consuming, and impossible to ignore. It claims a shocking turn in the relationship between Barış Baktaş and Yağmur Yüksel, a couple so admired, so deeply in sync both on screen and off, that the word marriage wasn't just a fan's dream, it was part of their daily vocabulary. So, how did a love story that felt written in the stars begin to fracture at the precise moment everyone expected a ring, a date, and a forever? To understand the end, we must look at the beginning. Sources close to the pair reveal that the talk of marriage didn't arrive overnight. It wasn't a sudden impulse born of a romantic holiday. It grew slowly, like a secret garden planted in late-night conversations and nurtured by coffee cups on sleepy set mornings. Friends describe how Barış, a man of warmth and deep romanticism, began sharing bold declarations about the future. He reportedly didn't just hint at a life together. He insisted, heart on his sleeve, that he was ready to craft something lasting with Yagmar. At first, Yagmar was careful. She is a woman who values rhythm and balance, building momentum in her career with steady, thoughtful steps. But over time, as he spoke with sincerity and consistency, weaving future plans with the names of cities and scenes from their imagined life, she softened. Those who saw them during this golden period swear the connection felt genuine and grounded. There was laughter, collaboration, and a profound sense that both were moving in the same direction. Then, something shifted. The whispers say it was subtle, almost imperceptible at first, a change in the air pressure before the storm. As the abstract idea of marriage left the realm of sweet conversation and stepped into the cold light of action, talks of engagement venues, families meeting, and press strategies, an undercurrent of doubt started to pull at Barış. He began to speak to confidants about responsibility. About the relentless pace of his schedule. About the offers piling up on his desk and the creeping fear that making a promise in stone could reshape everything from his freedom to his creative focus. Friends say he came across not as insincere, but as overwhelmed. The weight of what marriage means when millions are watching, where every silent moment is translated into a headline, began to press down on him. Furthermore, those same voices insist that differences in their personalities, long tendered with respect, started to rub against each other as the planning grew real. Yagmar is described as methodical, the type to map routes before a trip, knowing exactly where the time will go and how the heart will be protected. Barış, conversely, is a creature of feeling, drawn to the fire of the now, decisive in the moment but sometimes complicated by that very momentum. No one is right, and no one is wrong, just different rhythms. In the everyday, these differences were charming and complementary. But in the high-stakes tension of wedding decisions, they amplified into friction. I have to pause here and ask you, the romantics and realists of anything you want, do you believe that personality opposites attract forever, or do they eventually collide when big decisions need to be made? Have you ever loved someone whose rhythm was just too different from yours? I want to read your experiences in the comments below. And remember, if you appreciate this level of emotional analysis, clicking the join button is the best way to keep our channel independent. Small disagreements over the vibe of the venue, the scale of the guest list, whether to announce boldly or slip quietly into commitment, began to echo. A friend of a friend says that what started as playful banter became raised voices behind closed doors. Meanwhile, the external world began to intrude. People in their orbit supposedly warned Barış that an early marriage might be risky at a career peak. Managers, older colleagues, and even well-meaning relatives may have offered cautionary tales. Once you commit, priorities rearrange, fans react, opportunities narrow. Those warnings, insiders suggest, landed heavily on someone already wrestling with big decisions. And then there's the heart of it, how it felt for her. The whispers insist that Yagmar, having finally allowed herself to trust the horizon he painted, felt blindsided by any hint of retreat. She had taken her time precisely to protect her balance, only to find that when she leaned in, the ground began to shake. People close to her describe a period of withdrawal, a turning inward. She threw herself into her scripts, her training, the quiet rituals that keep a person steady. One confidant claims she said something heartbreakingly clear. "If the talk hadn't been so clear, I would have kept my distance." It's the kind of sentence you only say when disappointment runs deep, and you're trying to stop the break from spreading to the rest of your life. They haven't spoken publicly. That is important. There is no official statement, no formal explanation, just a silence that works like a magnifying glass over every digital breadcrumb. Some say this wasn't a sudden decision for Barış, but a slow build. A quiet accumulation of doubt, the kind you don't notice until it fills the room. He is rumored to have told someone in his inner circle that he might have moved too fast with the talk of rings and dates. The logistics became heavy, engagement ceremonies, families entering the equation, calendars that had to be coordinated. What once felt romantic started to feel like planning a stage performance bigger than any he'd ever done. During this stretch, communication reportedly thinned. Messages took longer. Conversations that once solved everything became "we'll talk later." And when they did talk, the topics were sharper. Yagmar is said to have asked for clarity, and not unreasonably so. She wanted to know whether they were building the same home, the same future, at the same pace. Barış, according to a source, often sat in that uneasy space between yes and no. All or nothing meant not now, and the emotional toll of that collision wore through their patience. What began to look inevitable was not a dramatic explosion, but a steady, weary unraveling. We are exploring the anatomy of a heartbreak today. If you are finding value in this deep dive, please take a second to like this video. It tells us that you appreciate stories with substance. And for those who want to help us keep the lights on and the narratives flowing, our super thanks feature is always open. Online clues fed the flames. Shared photos vanished. Comments that once arrived within minutes of posting seemed to stop. The playful rhythm of their public interactions became a quiet space. People noticed that Yagmar's captions turned more introspective, her images more solitary, as if she were standing near windows more often, letting soft light fall where words wouldn't. Meanwhile, Barış's content leaned into sets, scripts, and night shoots, the refuge of work when personal life goes complicated. From the outside, it looks like the kind of mixture that often undoes beautiful things: timing, pressure, personality, and the sheer difficulty of aligning two big lives moving very fast. It's not that they didn't care. It's that caring didn't make the differences disappear. People who saw them in recent weeks tell stories that break the heart a little. A quiet car ride where they looked forward instead of at each other. A set visit where smiles were polite and sparse. A late-night conversation captured by someone in a cafe, their body language carrying the story, palms open, shoulders tense, eyes soft with apology. In another whisper, a stylist swears they saw a ring sketch in a notebook weeks ago, a shape that never made it into metal. When love lingers in ideas, reality can feel cruel. Some optimists say the space might be a test, a moment to breathe before a reset. Others insist the split is final, not angry, but resolute. A choice to preserve what was good rather than grind it down through more arguments over dates and promises. A few insiders say that if reconciliation comes, it won't be soon, and it won't be loud. It would arrive quietly, in private, after both rebuild their sense of certainty. There's a lesson here that fans across the comment sections have been trading back and forth. Love can be true and still not be on schedule. Devotion can light up a room and still dim under the weight of expectations neither partner asked for but both felt. The public may crave fairy tale arcs, but the people living those arcs have to navigate real trade-offs, sleep lost to shoots, press deadlines, family dinners, and the silent moment after a long day when you ask yourself if you have the room to carry someone else's dreams alongside your own. And where does that leave us now? In a familiar place for celebrity watchers but a tender one for the hearts involved, waiting. Waiting to see if one of them speaks. Waiting to see if an appearance together pops the bubble of speculation. For now, everything official lives in the shadow of the unspoken. From where we sit, the timeline feels clear even if the end is not. Earnest promises, careful acceptance, growing pressure, simmering differences, a tide of advice from outside, a retreat into work, and a silence that says more than any carefully crafted statement ever could. If this is the end for Barış Baktaş and Yağmur Yüksel, it is not a scandal, it is a sadness. It is not a betrayal, but a misalignment. And if it's a pause, not a goodbye, then time will be the only witness worth trusting. Until then, we honor the parts of their journey that made so many believe in them. The way they laughed when no one asked them to. The way their work shined brighter when they were collaborating. These are the reasons people cared, and the reasons today's whispers sting so much. And that, my friends, is the story of a promise caught in the crossfire of fame and reality. We have walked through the silence, analyzed the fractures, and stood witness to the quiet unraveling of a dream. Now, the conversation turns to you. Do you think true love can survive bad timing? Or is timing the most important ingredient of all? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do not forget to subscribe to Anything You Want and ring that bell. We are your home for the truth behind the glamour. Join the family if you can, and until next time, keep your heart open, even when the ending is unwritten. Goodbye.